Imagine opening your garage one quiet Saturday morning. You reach for a screwdriver. But before you find it, you notice 3 unopened toolboxes, 2 coffee makers, a bread machine you forgot you owned, and enough paper towels to last until next winter. For a moment, you stop. Not because your house is full, but because you honestly can't remember buying half of what's inside it. Now here's something curious. Across Japan, there are millions of people over 50 living in homes much smaller than the average American house. Yet somehow, their shelves feel lighter, their finances feel calmer, and retirement often feels less stressful. Not because they earned more, not because they avoided success, but because somewhere along the way, they learned the difference between spending money and quietly wasting it. Today, we're exploring 7 things many older Japanese people rarely spend money on, and why these small habits often leave them with something far more valuable than extra savings. Because the last habit isn't really about money at all. It's about a mistake almost every modern consumer makes, without ever realizing it. Before we begin, there's one Japanese word that quietly connects this entire story. Mottainai. People often translate it as, "What a waste." But its real meaning is much deeper. It asks one simple question. Has this already finished serving its purpose? An old jacket, a coffee mug, a dining table, a phone that's still working perfectly. Instead of asking, what should I replace next? Many Japanese households quietly ask, does this still deserve another year? That single question changes almost every purchase. The first habit. Many older Japanese people almost never replace something, simply because something newer appeared. Think about how often we're told, this version is faster. This model is smarter. This one has new features. But experience teaches something advertisements never can. If your toaster still makes toast, your chair still supports your back, your watch still tells time, then what exactly are you replacing? The object? Or your excitement? Modern marketing survives on one powerful idea. It wants perfectly good things to feel outdated. Older Japanese adults have quietly learned to separate those two ideas. Age and usefulness are not the same thing. A jacket that's 10 years old can still be your favorite jacket. A dining table with scratches can still hold your family's best conversations. And a phone that's 2 years old can still do everything you actually need. The result isn't just fewer purchases. It's fewer decisions. Less comparison. Less pressure. Less time wondering, what should I buy next? Instead, life becomes surprisingly quieter. The second habit is harder to notice, because it never arrives as one expensive purchase. It arrives $5 at a time. You're already standing inside a store. You grab another scented candle, a discount kitchen gadget, a decorative basket, a coffee mug that says something funny. None of them feel expensive. That's exactly why they're dangerous. Individually, they're almost invisible. Together, they slowly become the reason closets stop closing, garages stop fitting cars, and retirement savings quietly disappear. One small purchase at a time. Many older Japanese shoppers have developed a surprisingly simple habit. Before anything enters the shopping basket, they pause and ask themselves one quiet question. Where will this live? Not, can I afford it? Not, is it on sale? Simply, does it deserve space in my home? A tiny pause. Only a few seconds. But those few seconds quietly prevent hundreds of unnecessary purchases over a lifetime. Because every object asks for something. After you bring it home. A place to store it. Time to clean it. Energy to organize it. Attention every time you look at it. The price ends at the checkout. Ownership doesn't. The third habit is one that costs even more. Because this time, you're not buying an object. You're trying to buy a feeling. A difficult week. An evening that feels hollow for no clear reason. The quiet restlessness that arrives when life feels stuck. And somehow, buying something feels like the quickest path to feeling better. Maybe it's another kitchen appliance. A jacket you didn't plan to buy. A gadget that promises to simplify your life. For a few hours, it works. Then, a week later, it's simply another object. Sharing space with everything else. Many older Japanese people have discovered something quieter. Comfort doesn't always come from buying. Sometimes, it comes from making tea, walking through a nearby park, fixing something with your own hands, calling an old friend, or simply allowing an uncomfortable feeling to pass on its own. Because emotions are temporary. Objects often stay for years. The fourth habit quietly disappears. Once people begin seeing status differently. There was a time when expensive brands felt like the clearest signal of success. But many older Japanese adults have arrived somewhere different. They've watched someone spend a decade cycling through fashionable coats, and someone else wear one well-made coat for 20 winters. And they've noticed something the first person never did. The person who kept the coat never thought about it. They wore it, worked in it, lived in it. While the person cycling through coats spent 20 years thinking about coats. A repaired leather wallet, worn smooth from years of use. A kitchen knife sharpened so many times that the blade has grown narrow. A wooden chair that belonged to someone who is no longer here. These aren't symbols of having less. They're symbols of something the market can never manufacture. A life long enough to create meaning in objects. And real confidence rarely needs an audience. It simply walks into the room, wearing the coat it's always worn, and thinks about something else entirely. The fifth habit is one of the quietest and most expensive of all. Paying for things you no longer use. Subscriptions that charged again last month. Streaming services you haven't opened in weeks. Premium memberships that felt essential once. Cloud storage for photos you'll probably never sort. Gym memberships that have become a monthly reminder of unmet intentions. Many people keep paying simply because canceling feels like work. Small monthly charges become hundreds of dollars every year. Many Japanese retirees quietly review these expenses once or twice a year. Not to become cheaper, but to make sure every dollar still has a purpose. Because money leaving your account unnoticed is still money leaving your account. The sixth habit is one that many people over 50 finally have the experience to recognize. Paying to stay busy. After decades of a full schedule, retirement can feel surprisingly uncomfortable in its openness. And that discomfort often becomes expensive. An activity joined because it seemed productive, not because it felt joyful. Equipment purchased for a hobby that never quite fit. Classes attended out of obligation. Or the quiet fear that slowing down means falling behind. Japan has a concept called Ma. It describes meaningful empty space. The pause between two notes in music. The silence before someone speaks. The open afternoon with nowhere to be. Many older Japanese people have learned something that busy culture rarely teaches. After 50, time itself becomes the most valuable currency. And the most generous thing you can do with it is stop filling every moment with noise. An empty afternoon isn't wasted. Sometimes, it's the most honest thing you can give yourself. And that brings us to the final habit. The most expensive purchase of all. Many people don't spend money on products. They spend money trying to buy a future version of themselves. The expensive planner that won't create discipline. The premium treadmill that won't create consistency. The luxury cookware that won't suddenly make someone love cooking. The object isn't really the purchase. Hope is. Many older Japanese people understand something that only experience can teach. A better life rarely begins at the checkout. It begins with the smallest action you can take. Before spending anything at all. Take a walk. Before buying expensive walking shoes. Cook one simple meal. Before renovating the kitchen. Read the book already sitting on your shelf. Before ordering another one. Action first. Purchases second. And perhaps, that's what living thoughtfully after 50 truly means. Not saying no to everything, but saying yes only to the things that genuinely move your life forward. So before your next purchase, pause for just a few seconds and ask yourself, if this disappeared tomorrow, could I still take the first step today? If the answer is yes, perhaps you weren't buying the object. Perhaps you were buying permission. And that's one purchase you never really needed. If this story stayed with you, share it with one person over 50 who you think deserves a quieter relationship with money. Because sometimes, the most generous thing you can offer someone isn't advice about spending less. It's the reminder that they already have more than enough to begin.